the amount of money that it costs in a month, if I think about like if I hired somebody to do the computer work that I used to do, like I wouldn't even have that person for one day for the cost of what we pay for local line. My mom started Brown Sugar Produce in 2001, and I was 15 at the time. I was very involved, but we went to the farmer market, and that really sparked my interest in the whole garden business. And so I did farmers markets with her for about 3 years, and then I moved away to go to university. And then I met a guy, and we moved to Nova Scotia, and we went farming together. And we got married about 3 years into that. And then after being married for about a year, we moved back to Manitoba. So yeah, we made the move, and it's been great. This is our 7th season. Last year, my mom retired officially, which means she only grows an acre of garden now. And now we have 2 CSA pickups a week, one in Brandon, which is 20 minutes away. It's a larger city, not a large city, but in Manitoba, it's a city. And then a very small town that's just 10 minutes that we're outside of. So those are on different days. We have an open public pickup in the small town. Our van is at capacity in the city, so we don't. People can place orders and pick them up in the small town, but not in the city pickup. So we do get a little bit of public orders that way, but largely all of our produce goes through our 100-member CSA. And then CSA members being able to place orders along with their bags, which they do in a big way, in a way that like we don't have to seek any other additional markets this year. So then we can spend as much time as possible on the farm, which is always the goal. Whereas markets, I felt like there was a lot of pressure, and you bring a bunch of produce, so you put out all that energy getting all this produce ready, and then it rains and you don't sell any of it. It's a big loss on a small farm like ours. So like we're able to be really efficient just doing the CSA. So I really like that as well. Efficiency is my jam. So
you mentioned you were a bit hesitant on farm software because the experience you had before. How did you guys find Local Line? Why did you pick Local Line? I've been
watching Local Line. I went to a farm conference and talked to somebody about it in like shortly after it was created. And I was like, okay, that looks interesting. But like, I'm not an early adopter of anything tech. Like I have the oldest smartphone I can possibly have. And like, I don't want either at the leading edge of that stuff because I don't like it. I'm not good at it. It's just not my thing. So I paid attention to which farms in the area were using it and listened to their experience. And then a couple winters ago, there was an online farming conference for this area. And so a couple farmers I know that use it were talking about it in a workshop. And we have a long-term employee she was a 5-year employee, and she became a market gardener herself. And so that was the winter before she started her farm. And we were watching the conference together, and she was interested in exploring software. So from that workshop, they had deemed that Local Line worked great for them, and they recommended it. So she tried it, and she's someone who has become family. So I very much trust her to know. And also she knows me really well. So she like, this is like not frustrating. Teri could do it kind of idea. So she, after using it last season, was like, yeah, I think it would fit your needs, Teri. I think it would work for you. So we tried it this year.
What do you use Local Line for?
Everybody gets a standard bag. I post the contents like 5 days before they get it. So I've posted it this week already, and people don't get their bags until Tuesday and Wednesday. So they can look on our website and they get an email on the weekend telling them what's, with a link, because some people like it to be a surprise. So you click the link, you can see what's coming in the bag. And then if you're not getting everything you need in the bag, or you have company coming, or you want something else, then you can log on. They have a custom price list for the CSA members because I have that public pickup on Wednesdays as well in the small town. So I have a custom price list for the CSA members. They get some price discounts a little bit, and they're able to put in an order up to 6 a.m. on the day of their pickup for additional items to come with their bag. And that leaves us enough time to get that stuff ready. And we're doing, between $500 and $800 a week of additional orders just from our CSA members, which is, more than a lot of farmers markets like that people would attend would be. So, and plus we're just getting those items ready. We're not, if you, to make $300 at a farmer's market, you might have to get $1,000 of stuff ready. And then what do you do with it at the end? So, yeah, it's really great for how we use it that way. And I also use it to log any of their credits. So for instance, and every CSA is different, of course, but one of our rules, or the way the program works, is people can, if they're going to miss a week and they let me know in advance, like not like, oh, I missed the pickup, I want a credit. Like if they let me know in advance, I'm not going to be here, they can get a double bag in the future. Or this year we're doing a credit on Local Line, and people love that. And I can log the credits on Local Line, which is awesome, because I wasn't able to do that in the previous way I was doing it. I was basically like taking orders myself over email with, a homemade list. Like it wasn't anything techie at all. And this way I can log their credits in Local Line, so I don't have to keep track of that stuff, and then they can see it. And if people have a credit sitting there, they're going to spend it. So, and when they spend it, they're going to see something else that they want to buy, and they'll usually spend more than their credit. So we get a sale out of, so it's kind of a no-brainer to me. I actually offer them more credit now when they miss their bag, because it's easier for me. And because I know that the sales will increase, because they're using the credit in Local Line, where they see shiny pictures of exciting vegetables and they can't help themselves. So
what would be the biggest benefit you guys get from Local Line?
Well, like the thing that I always think about is the lie of the promise of technology that is so often present in everything that we do. Like it's a fallacy so often that technology is saving you time, except in this case, like I spend less time on the computer and more time with my hands in the soil because we use Local Line. So I would say in this case, it's not, that was always the thing, is like, oh, in the future, computers will do everything and we'll get to do fun stuff. And I increasingly just look around me and see people sitting in front of computers more than ever. And that's not me. Like, I don't want to be in front of the computer. So Local Line has helped me achieve less time on the computer, and a better value for our members too. Like it's nicer for them to use, it's easier for them to use. It's not this weird, I always have these weird systems that you have to kind of know about and read a bunch about and try and understand. It's not like user friendly. So now it's user friendly. It's much easier for everybody, and we get more orders because of it. I love Local Line. Like I think it's everything I hoped it would be. I knew the flaws that the software that I was using before had. One of them was inventory management was really clunky. So you would like update, you did have the option to update quantity versus unlimited. You could have just open inventory or an inventoried amount, but just as simple as like the screen to get to it was really clunky. So you'd like update beets, and then you'd go back and you'd have to start over again and get back to the next item. Whereas in Local Line, I can update multiple things, like by looking in one window. It's like I can do the quantities of, like I can inventory the pickles in just a number of minutes. And then I don't oversell on the pickles. And then I don't have to do whatever that entails, which is, refunding people or whatever. Or if I do, I can easily because I have credits. So I didn't have any kind of customer interface before this. And that was lacking, and I didn't realize how much it was lacking until I have it now, and now I can't live without it. So
what advice would you offer to other farmers who are maybe kind of hesitant about going down the technology route? I guess what advice would you have?
I guess kind of drawing on that last answer too, that we're really good at identifying what our boundaries are about what we want to do and what we want our life to look like. So when we make shifts to the business, they're about our lifestyle. So this year, we've achieved the kind of lifestyle that we want, where we're not, before it felt like we were trying to keep up to the flow of veggies and the flow of people wanting veggies, and it didn't feel like our lives were our own. And there's a phase in life for that, and that time has passed for me. We have a 5-year-old daughter, and it was easier working more when she was younger than it is now, because now, like, she was an infant and I could carry her around and she just came along. Now she has her own opinions and ideas and schedule. It's a bit harder to fit in those, having to harvest all day from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. Like that was turning into a day where I would just drag her around with me and feel like I yelled at her all day. And like, it's not enjoyable for her. And the only reason we ever need to yell at children for being slow or whatever is because we have some kind of schedule, and I don't want to put that on her. So for us, it was just more important to have more flexibility, and so having software really helps with that, because I spend the hardest thing to fit in when working with kids around is like focused time on the computer. And there was my harvest list, which I can now just I can do it while I'm doing other things and drinking coffee, and I can just click a few buttons and it's printed out. I used to have to kick everybody out of the house, sit down with a sheet of paper and make tallies of orders onto a master list and make sure I wasn't interrupted. So I screwed it up and then screw up the whole harvest day. So I think just for us, it's always been identifying what we want our life to look like, and then kind of working backwards from how do we get that. So we looked at this year and was like, I don't want to have to keep this insane schedule for markets and then have her in childcare for a whole day while we're at market. And I want it to be more of a family affair. And so we were like, okay, well, what does it look like if we quit markets? And we always do a budget every year. So we've always had really good financial data to look at and to see what that looks like in reality, and if that's something we can manage. And so, yeah, we took the leap this year, and I'm really glad we did.